Hi there, we're going to go over today how to correctly weigh your food. We're going to talk through a few different ingredients, including how to weigh raw meat versus cooked, why we use things like grams and ounces versus cups and tablespoons, and then I'm going to show you a few things as it relates to just understanding your portion sizes and why portions do matter. So first things first, we're going to start out with just kind of introducing you to the digital scale. This is maybe 10 to 12 bucks on Amazon. We use a brand called Ozeri. No brand affiliation whatsoever, but you can find anything on Amazon like this. There's multiple brand options. As long as you find something that's a digital scale that has grams, ounces, milliliters, that's basically all that you need. We start out by, of course, turning the scale on. You always want to make sure that it's on a flat surface and that it comes up, of course, at 0 before you start using it. So first I'm going to go over a quick little hack that I think a lot of people don't know, and that's how to weigh things like yogurt and peanut butter and things that are a little bit more sticky onto your utensil that maybe you're not getting the most accurate reading from. So you start out by placing whatever it is that you're wanting to weigh on your scale and then going ahead and tearing it out. So tear brings it to 0. We want to make sure, again, that it's on grams. I weigh everything using grams except for proteins. I use ounces. And what we're going to do is actually take our spoon and pull from the container. So you, again, would do the same thing with the jar of peanut butter. And this way, it just makes it a little bit easier to know exactly how much you're pulling out. So right there, I've got 74 grams, and I know that because it's showing negative 74 grams on the scale. This isn't about being crazy to the decimal point accurate, but we do know that things start to add up quickly when we are tracking our macros. And from experience, working with lots of clients, I see people make that mistake all the time. Next up, let's go over a bowl of cereal and what a bowl of cereal looks like versus like what it actually weighs. So I'm going to just use whatever I had in the cabinet today. We've got some Catalina Crunch, honey flavored. This is probably smaller than a bowl that I would actually use for cereal if we're being honest, but it'll be good for our demonstration today. So you're going to place the bowl on the scale, zero out the scale, again using grams. And I'm just going to pour a bowl of cereal as if I weren't weighing it, just to demonstrate sort of how much exactly we're eating here. Here's my bowl of cereal. You can see I've definitely filled it probably to where most people would, maybe a little bit less. And the scale is reading 172 grams of cereal. So I'm going to take a look at the label. One serving size of cereal is 36 grams. So 172 grams in a bowl is almost 5 servings of cereal. We're looking at over a 500 calorie bowl of cereal. And so this is where tracking and weighing our food can be really important. It's super educational to just understand portion sizes and how much food we're actually consuming. If we're thinking about a bowl of cereal, it really doesn't seem like a lot of food. It's pretty light, it's crunchy, it's easy to eat, tastes really good. This is a good way to learn and understand why we track and weigh our food and why it could be beneficial even if you're just doing it for a short period of time. Next up, we're going to do the same thing with a scoop of protein powder. So again, a lot of folks like to use their protein powder to get their protein in for the day. 1 scoop of protein, according to the label, 31 grams. I just poured a 37-gram scoop. I did 6 grams over, which again, nothing super crazy, but this stuff starts to add up over time. So it's important to know, again, weighing versus just using cups and scoops can give you the most accuracy, especially when hundreds of calories here and there start to add up. Let's talk a little bit about weighing meat. Do we weigh it raw? Do we weigh it cooked? And the answer is you can do both. The label at the grocery store is always going to be for the food raw, for the meat raw, for the food that's unprepared. So if you're looking at a box of rice, for example, the label, it may show both options, but 99 times out of 100, it's going to show the food product before it's been prepared or cooked. So with meat, when we cook it, water evaporates out of it. It will weigh less once we cook it. I'll talk through that in a second about how we can calculate things when they're cooked. But again, the most accurate way that we can weigh our meat is going to be when we're weighing it raw. A hack for people that might prep a lot of their protein in advance, which we do too, is at least understand how much it's cooking down when you do prepare it. So, for example, if I weigh, this is 8 ounces of raw beef, and I cook it and it cooks down to 6 ounces, I know that that's 75% of what it weighed at when it was raw, right? So 6 divided by 8, that's 75%. 0.75 tends to be a pretty good estimate when you're estimating meats. But again, if something is a lot leaner versus more fatty, there's going to be a variance, whether it's chicken or beef or fish, as to how much water is actually cooking out of your protein. So you can come up with your own ratio. I'll put a visual down below to for those that are visual learners to understand that math. But basically, again, 0.75 is a good way to estimate if you're weighing something cooked. Just make sure that, again, you're choosing an option that you're consistent with, because at the end of the day, that is what matters the most. If you're choosing different ways of doing it every single time, then your calories and your data tend to get a little bit confusing and construed. I say pick a method and stick with it. There's also the option, of course, where some apps, depending on which food app that you're using, offer options of foods that are cooked, like the option will say cooked beef. Again, I tend to stay wary of those. Some of those aren't as accurate as you doing your own math, because you're preparing it the way that you prepare it, how you cook it, and that way you're able to do it that way. So hopefully that is helpful. This isn't about being super meticulous or being super stringent with your macros to the decimal point, but it does add up over time when we understand things like our rounded scoops of protein, our giant bowl of cereal, things like that, and why portions do matter and how understanding them can educate us on how to properly track it.